Ever wanted to learn more about the people behind the speedruns? Right here. It's this one. My Insane Pace.
My Insane Pace here, coming at you with My Insane Pace here. ALT Insider here, coming at you with a My Insane Pace podcast. Thanks for coming in again with another episode here. And it's just me today. It's me with a solo show. Have some good interviews lined up, but as that goes, schedules, etc., etc., etc. So they're coming in, but I don't want to let the show go too long for an episode, right? Because, that sucks. So here we go. Here's an episode. I gave on my Discord, which you should join if you're not a part of right now. I gave some choices for things they want to hear from a solo show. And these are the ones we came up with. There's some choices here. I'll read the choices, actually. Top 5 marathons ever. Top 5 marathon runs ever. Favorite streamers. What makes a good streamer. 5 most important people in speedrun history. And top 5 commentators in history. And so the one that kind of won was, there's pretty much a tie about a lot of them. But 5 most important people in speedrun history got the most votes when I checked this, and I think I want to go with that one. That was the one I was hoping would win, so there you go. And so, I think I'm going to do all those ideas, by the way, in the future, but that'll be in the future. So here we go. This is the 5 most important people to speedrunning history. So before you get into a list like this, you got to say stupid stuff like, hey, it's my list. Your criteria might be different than my criteria, blah, blah, blah. Basically, don't bitch about my list because this is what I think I did a lot of thought in this. More thought than I should have, probably. I put a lot of thought in this list. I encourage you to come up with your own list and post it somewhere on the internet so we can debate and have fun with the debate about this. But this is my list. I do want to give you my criteria because I think that's important so you know where I'm coming from. For me, think of the wording of how I said this. I said the most important people in speedrun history. So for me, there is not a single thing that has to do with skill or world records. I mean, they can be byproducts of that. But skill and world records is not important. I'm talking about impact on speedrunning, okay? Then, once I say that, I have to say again, what does impact mean? So I mean things like, things that influence growth of speedrunning. I think things that cause attention, bring attention to speedrunning. I think things that are hype, make the community hyped. I think things that have a lasting effect on speedrunning as a whole. Those are kind of my 4 things I thought about. So again, it's not about skill. I'm not talking about who's the best player of any game. Okay? We all know that's Cypher, right? I'm just kidding. It's a lot of different games, a lot of different things. But I'm not talking about skill. I'm not talking about the most world records. I'm talking about impact, growth, attention, hype, lasting effect. Okay? So I have 5 people here. My top 5 list. I do want to get through a few of the honorable mentions because, to be honest, my first 4 were fast. It took me like 2 minutes to get my first 4. But my 5th one was a little bit tough. And to be honest, not everyone, but a lot of these honorable mentions could have took that 5th spot. So let me go through those real quickly here. Pack, the guy that started speedrun.com, is definitely has a huge influence on speedrunning right now. Speedrun.com is the website for speedrunning, so it deserves a spot in honorable mention if nothing else. Sinister One was probably the closest one to sneaking in the 5th spot, just for his impact in the community, as in length of time in the community. He was in Classic Games Done Quick. His overall longevity of being in part of the community, part of the forums, part of the GDQ life, and then he works for Twitch and does more stuff for speedrunning. He does a lot of stuff. My stupid idea. It's not a stupid idea. My idea for My Insane Idea, the live event I talked about last year. He was really supportive about that, and he's supportive for a lot of stuff. And he just really wants speedrunning to grow. And he is speedrunning. He's working for speedrunning right now, literally. And so I think he was very close to being my number 5th spot. So he's probably number 6. I had the 6th spot. PJ. PJ, again, is one of these people that just a lot of people's favorite part of GDQ is PJ. Another person that's been there since the beginning. PJ, awesome runner, awesome entertainer. He's definitely an honorable mention. Edenol for his work with ESA. It's just like the same, again, such a big part of speedrunning is ESA, and Edenol was the one that kind of created that. A lot of people involved with that, so it's not like Edenol did everything, but there you go. More modern things, Edenol again. Cheezo5, right? More modern times, but still, he's such a huge personality. Former guest Edenol, by the way. Such a huge personality that I think he deserves a spot on here. He's such a big following, doing a lot of stuff. He's now involved with GSA. So there you go. Just a great personality to have. Another person I want to add is Summoning Salt with his world record progression videos. I mean, how many people found speedrunning from Summoning Salt's videos? I mean, how many people are interested in the history of speedrunning now because of Summoning Salt. So he deserves honorable mention if nothing else. Spike Vegeta, another person I think is a huge personality, right? Think of a GDQ without Spike Vegeta. It's hard to do, right? He's the most charismatic person there. He knows how to handle himself. When they're not sticking to the cringe scripted stuff too much, he lets his personality shine, and then it's awesome, right? When you get Spike Vegeta's true personality, not something that's written on a page, you hear how awesome he is and how he carries himself. He's going to be a lock to be in the GDQ, the presentation for a long time, for sure. Another one I wanted to add, Worcester, right? Worcester, another person that used to be in GDQs, no longer, no need to get into that, but just a guy that goes by the beat of his own drum, and a lot of people like how that drum beats, right? So he's just a dude that it really if you ever seen the video of him talking about his, why he loves speedrunning, search it on YouTube. I'm not going to find the link. I don't have time tonight. I want to get this episode out, but he posted a video that says why I love speedrunning, and watch that, right? You can just see how much he loves it and how much, even though he's in a bad mood a lot of times when he streams because he's trying to get a world record and Pokemon has a lot of RNG and stuff like that, you can see how much he enjoys speedrunning for sure. Cowan Hames, he's got to be on this list too. Just the epic. Is there a more epic runner than Cowan Hames? I'm not sure if I know one for sure. And shout outs to Goose on that one. Ryan Lockwood. I think he deserves to be in the honorable mention shot because of his MRRL time. Again, the name of this podcast is based on his famous quote. How many millions of people have seen that run that never saw anything else in speedrunning? Not everyone watched speedrunning after that, but I'm sure a lot of people did. What's the speedrunning thing that I learned from this Ryan Lockwood video that even PewDiePie commentated on? And like, it's just that video has had long legs, and it's definitely opened a lot of people's eyes to speedrunning that would never even heard of it before. He deserves to be an honorable mention list for me for sure. Ryan Lockwood with the MRRL time. I'm typing up a storm right now as I read this. Blue Glass. I had to put Blue Glass in. This is my personal choice. Blue Glass now is not in the speedrunning community anymore, and a lot of people have different thoughts about Blue Glass. But I myself, when I was in my height of speedrunning, watching every run of the GDQs, my GDQ, what's the best way to say this? When I was in the height of my free time and GDQ watching time, Blue Glass was always a great person. A lot of people love GDQs more because he was there. I know he's not there anymore. I know people say, he wasn't a good speedrunner. He went over time every time. That's not important. He was a cool guy, and you can see the love for speedrunning in him. And I know he made a lot of people more hyped about speedrunning. So Blue Glass, there you are on my honorable mention list for sure. So that is my honorable mention list. As you can see, maybe I had some people you thought would be in there for sure that are not on my list. I could have named a lot more honorable mentions, to be honest. Let's get some that aren't on there. Zost, ZFG. I don't want to get the names. Keep going. Caleb Hart, he's not going to be in my top 5, but he could be there easily. There's a million honorable mentions, and I hope I said, these are just my honorable mentions that I wanted to mention. A lot of people have been on my show, by the way, too, so you can see, there might be a link there. No, but there's a lot of people I could be on the honorable mention list. Speedrunning would not be the same without all these honorable mentions and many more honorable mentions. So there you go. Just know there's a lot of honorable mentions. If I didn't mention your name, it doesn't mean that you are not important to the speedrunning community for sure, because I can't have a million honorable mentions, and my list doesn't mean anything, right? If I just say everyone, say so. Okay, here's my top 5. I want to go in order of. Which order do I want to do this? Actually, do I want to do the obvious to not obvious, or not obvious to obvious? I think I'll go not obvious to obvious, because I think that's more interesting. I have more to talk about with the obvious one. So my number 5th pick, let's get to that. The one that I had the most struggle with. I had a few people in mind for this one. In the end, I decided for number 5th pick, it's going to be someone that's, I get a little talk up before I mention it. I guess I should do that. I don't want to do a drummer or anything, but here's a little talk up. Someone that I had probably the first or second most successful summer in terms of the marathon season. He's had just a huge member of the community, huge runner. Everyone knows who he is. Everyone enjoys his runs. Every time he gets on the screen, he knows what he's doing. He knows how to carry himself in every single way. He is the Mexican runner, right? So why do we know Mexican runner? The Mexican runner, excuse me, I don't say the every time. Well, the thing that set him apart from other runners, when he did have a small following, a healthy following before the Nest quest, what's it called? The quest for the Nest. God damn it. I did not write down what it was called, but whatever that's called, he did all the games. Nestmania. There you go. Nestmania. Nestmania, right? That's put him in another stratosphere, right? Beating every single NES game. And that put him in another, into the full-time streaming world because they did that. And that got a lot of media coverage. A lot of people were talking about this. Someone beat all of the NES games, and it got the community behind him. It was a huge community thing. It was a huge thing for people that never heard about speedrunning before. They learned about this, and they came to check out his streams. It was a huge, and now a lot of people do these complete things because of him. I mean, I'm not sure. I looked online myself. I tried to look and find if anyone did this before him, really. Even if they did, sorry, I couldn't find it, but he's the one that did it something right. Maybe it's his personality, his mix of the setup, the presentation, I don't know, but he sent it to the next atmosphere, the next stratosphere, right? So for that, I believe he is the fifth most important person in speedrun history. Before we go any further, I should say, when am I talking about? When did speedrunning kind of start, right? So because if you can go back forever if you wanted, right? You could go back to Billy Mitchell should be on there because he started caring about times. That was in the 80s, right? So that he would care about times and he cared about scores, but that wasn't really speedrunning, right? And you could go down the rabbit hole if you keep going like that. So I kind of decided to make my deadline, my cut kind of when I started worrying about stuff, like basically when classic games done quick started, because everyone before that wouldn't be on my list even if I looked at them, right? So I decided to make my list kind of start when classic games done quick started, right? I mean, a little bit before that, to be honest, but as you'll see. But that's my kind of timeline, right? So my number 4 pick, someone that's, to be fair, has moved away from speedrunning to a great degree, right? He still is in the community in some ways, is definitely not as much as he used to be. A member of, you can see, here's a stalkerish hint, a fun fact. On the Speed Demos Archive forums, you can see he is one of the people that does, hey, here's my pick. Everyone did let's share what each other look like forum post. He is one of the first page of that post when he was still in high school. So that shows how long he's been in the community. He ran one game for a long time. Then Twitch found him. He found Twitch, whatever one that is, whichever way that goes. And he found huge success with that one game, but then he found massive success doing other stuff. And now he is a member of an esports team. I haven't given it away yet. That person's name is Trihex. I don't see how you can have a list of this magnitude without him on it, to be honest, right? He's been there since the beginning. He's brought so many people into the world. He's said so many good thoughts into the community, right? He's one of the people that I said, as someone that I'm not in the speedrunning community. I never pretend to be. I wish I want to be. That's why I make these podcasts. But I consider myself the speaker of the people that watch that don't speedrun, right? But he said a lot of thoughts that I think are true that sometimes speedrunners don't agree with. Actual speedrunners, I should say, don't agree with, but I agree with. Trihex, the most famous one being speedrunners sometimes think there's this thing, and they're in their room, and speedrunning is their thing, and they never want to share that thing. And that's why there's no esports. That's why there's no they want to have this thing be their thing, and they never want anyone outside to influence it. I think that's the case sometimes. I guess these days it's kind of being less of the case. But yeah, Trihex, a great memory I have of Trihex is when he had the speedrun breakdown. I remember he was hyping this thing on Twitter so much, and I was like, wow, this sounds kind of cool. Maybe it could be a live, speedrunning a tournament. I'd be hyped for that. I thought it could be that. It ended up being a kind of a tutorial video idea thing that never came through because Super Moneymaker started, and he started making real big bucks on the Twitch there. And another thing, I kind of the thing that pushed him over the edge for me to go there, he was the first speedrunner, on my knowledge. Some people argue that he wasn't a speedrunner at this time, but he joined eTempo, an esports team. And by my research, he's the first one to do that. Maybe I'm wrong there again, but I think he is the first one to do that. And now, as we've seen, the first domino fell, and now many people are esports members from speedrun to esports member. I think that's something to add something to this list as well. That's what kind of pushed him into definitely being there for me, is because he's kind of making the transition. He's always been someone looking to the future of speedrunning, trying to share it, make it bigger, try new things. And I think he deserves to be there, even though now you could argue he is less of a speedrunner than he was. Still, that doesn't matter. I'm not talking about what they are now. I'm saying the most influential people, the biggest, the most important people in speedrun history. And I think Trihex is definitely one of the top 5 people there. Okay, top 3. Now we're in the people you could kind of guess. I think those last 5 and 4, you could argue me down from those. You could change what you think of. You could change my mind about those. But these top 3, you cannot change my mind. These are stone cold locks for in my mind for sure. So without further ado, let's get to it. Again, I'm going in order of most obvious, least obvious to most obvious. Number 3 on my list is Mike Uyama. So you might say, why, right? Why is he on here? And I think it's easy to know why. GDQs are the biggest thing in speedrunning right now. There is nothing bigger. No single streamer is bigger than GDQ. Not even close. Nothing in speedrunning has enough weight in society as GDQs do, and that is because of Mike Uyama. Now I don't want to talk up too much, right? Because Mike Uyama is not like I'm the one that it's not like he created marathons, right? But he had an idea of making a speedrunning, making an all-game speedrunning marathon, and he made it happen, right? A lot of people have ideas. I have the My Insane Pace idea. My Insane idea. But I have not made it happen real. So that it's bullshit. It means nothing. Mike Uyama got his influence from a little history lesson here. The speed gamers were, people that have played Zelda games. They played them fast. Again, if my history is wrong, go fuck yourself. But I think it's right. The speed gamers, they done a lot of marathons. They were doing marathons all the time. They raised like $50,000 once in some year, 2008, 2009, 2007, something like that. So they were speed running marathons already. But Mike Uyama took that as he was an administrator for Speed Demos Archive at the time. And he said, hey, I want to make the speedrunning marathon. And he made it happen. Classic Games Done Quick was the first one. And the naming, why is the name Games Done Quick, right? So Quake Done Quick was something that he had nothing to do with, but it was the Quake community of speedrunners, like kind of speedrunning guys start. I don't want to give you, I could go into the history of speedrunning, I guess, but if you want to read the history of speedrunning, go read Omnigamer's book. I'm sure he does it better than me. But a Quake Done Quick was kind of a way to play Quake quickly. Carry like one level, you play levels in a row, and they put it together in a video. That was called Quake Done Quick. So Mike got the name for Games Done Quick from Quake Done Quick. I'm not sure that made sense, but that's where he got the name from. I'm guessing. But Mike Uyama, let's not be fair. He kind of was obviously the forums were hot on Speed Demos Archive. They were very hot back then in 2006 when he took over, 2007, 2008, and it's because he obviously was a good administrator as well of the websites. Give him credit there. But his main thing is making GDQs a thing, and I think the weight, the importance of GDQs in terms of what they do to speedrunning, it cannot be underestimated. So Mike Uyama deserves to be there. As for his own speedrunning, I'm not even sure if he has a single world record. I know he runs some games, he does some runs, but that's the least important. Remember I said it's not about skill, it's not about world records, it's about impact on speedrunning, and Mike Uyama for the Games Done Quick thing deserves to be on anyone's list. If he's not in your top 5, I don't know. I think we have different criteria then, because there's no one else as important to speedrunning being a thing it is now, with all the masses watching. The hunt. It's for so many people in the world. I said this a few times on the show, but for so many people out there, way more people than are in the community, speedrunning is GDQs, right? And that's because that people. If there was no GDQs, those people would not care about speedrunning at all. They would not watch speedrunning at all. They would not donate money to charity. They would not be checking out streams. Some people would not be checking out streams, and that's because of Mike Uyama Games Done Quick. So Mike Uyama, you're my number 2. Okay, last two people. I'm guessing some people out there, you're smiling. You can guess who these next 2 people are. And they almost work together in tandem, but I made them separate. I was tempted to make them one kind of list because of their impact was almost at the same time. And it's so similar, right? They work together. They're symbiotic of each other, if I said the right word there. But I put them separate. I'm going to go number 2 for me is Siglemic. And Siglemic is someone that it's tough in 2018 to explain how big Siglemic was at his height. Okay. So there was, back in the wild west of Twitch, right? When Twitch just started, people did speedrunning, but there was way less people doing speedrunning. And 100 viewers was insane, right? A lot, right? Not like now 100 viewers is kind of, okay, it's a streamer, but yeah, 100 viewers. Siglemic was easily pulling thousands, 8,000, 10,000. I'm not sure his exact top of the peak, but I know 8,000, 10,000 was not a big deal for him back in the day when he was just grinding Mario 64 like no one else had ever done. And I do want to say some Siglemic, by the way. I want you to have there's two people who want to have the show more than anyone else. The first one is Ness Cardinality, and the second one is Siglemic. And Siglemic, if anyone ever shows the show to Siglemic, please come on my show. Email me, please. But Siglemic was someone that was he's like an enigma, right? You don't know much about Siglemic, and you didn't then either, right? He wasn't this big personality on his streams, right? He was a guy playing a game, and that was it, right? The community kind of took care of itself in the chat. And there was just something magic about his stream that I think has not been brought back ever. And I don't think it ever will, because people think you have to be on all the time, having the personality, showing your personality all the time when you're streaming to grow the following. I think that's true. I think now in 2018, that's definitely true. But back then, someone being as awesome as you can be at a game, he was the best in the world then, was enough. And it was, watching him go for those streams was just magical. And people, he would get, sour at people when they would say, reset. If he made a small mistake, people said reset, he'd get pissed and stuff. And I'm not sure how much he likes streaming. I think he did it because, he ended up being able to get money from it, but I don't think he did it for the fun of it. I think he just did it because he wanted to be the best at Mario 64. And you could feel that. You felt like you were part of the team. You were on that run with them. And that was, and if you want an idea of how big he was, right? Here's a story I read. And you can see a video, a little bit of this, but in 2013, AGDQ 2013, Siglemic played Mario 64, obviously. One of the most important runs in GDQ history for sure, in terms of how he was rock star level, right? And I'm not talking bullshit, like it was a presence, right? And that's GDQs don't have that anymore. And I don't think they ever will, really, because there's no person that's above the rest of the how to say this. It's tough to describe, right? How it is now, but how Twitch is now. There's no one that's so far above everyone else that's still just doing speedrunning. Like in 2013, right? Siglemic's pulling 8,000. Every other runner that's at GDQ is pulling, besides someone else I'm going to mention in a minute, is pulling 80, 50, 40, 30. They're so different playing fields that it's not even close, right? And now you kind of get that, like when Caleb Hart and let's say I Ate Your Pie, they regularly get 10K views, and most people in GDQs get insanely less than that. But still, that's not even close enough to what I'm saying here. Siglemic was on such another level. You can see, if you want to see this, I will link this because I have the link ready for me. There's a video of when you see Siglemic enter the room, and the chat vlog is there. The chat goes so insane just at the sight of Siglemic because of how big of a runner, such a presence he was. I'm trying to it sounds like I'm talking up Siglemic so much, but I can't stress how much of a figure and presence he was, and that's something that GDQs don't have anymore. I'm not sure they ever will again. I mean, I read shit that he legit had to stay out of the room because he couldn't go anywhere. People would just follow him and try to talk to him and try to do stuff with him, because that's how big he was. How much Siglemic in the flesh, right, was such a big deal, and he made arguably more people run than anyone else. There's one other person that could maybe make that claim, and I'll talk about them in a minute. But Siglemic definitely deserves to be number 2. Some people. Let's talk about why you might think he couldn't be on your list. As a product of time, right? This is the perfect time. This is the height of the ADGQ boom. 2013 kind of was the start of the real boom. But I think I argue that it was because of, some people say like anyone could do it when he did, right? But I disagree with that, because you have to have the personality or the lack of personality, the personality of wanting to be the best of the game and not giving a fuck about your presentation to do that, to have this kind of, kind of like a rock star that doesn't like kind of have that aura of not caring about being a rock star. And they're kind of, he had that. And I don't think there's ever going to be someone else that has that. And it was just, Siglemic is definitely deserved to be on anyone's top 10 list, anyone's top 3 list, I think. If there's a Mount Rushmore, I mean, Siglemic and this next person have to be 2 of the people for sure. So that's my talk about Siglemic. I think one of the most important speedrunners in speedrunning history. No doubt about that. If you haven't watched Siglemic run, you might go back and watch and say, there's nothing great about this. But I promise you, back then there was something there. It was magic. Okay, my number 1, since I haven't said this person's name, I think you could probably guess who I'm going to be talking about here. But This is someone that, just like Siglemic, was a force, right? A force that it was. If you're watching Twitch, you're watching this person, you're watching Siglemic, or you're watching somebody else. And if you're in the speedrunning world, right? This person is Narcissa, right? So, created Speedruns Live, should not be underestimated there. Created the way for people to race on speedrunning. I think arguably the most important run in GDQ history. Awesome Games Done Quick 2013 explaining Zelda there. I've interviewed, I don't know how many people on my show right now, 40 or something, 40 or 50. More than 10 have mentioned that run as being important to them in some way. This was so many people's first look into how glitches work or how a game can be taken to the next level. And Narcissa's the reason. Someone that took a game as far as it can be. This is someone, if you don't find it too stalkerish, go to Speed Demo's archive, look at the forums, and look at the old posts, because you can just see how much she dedicated her life to making this game get the time as low as is possible. And just like Siglemic, you really felt like you were on this path with them, because you could feel the passion they had, and you want to be a part of that too. And like Siglemic, like I said about the astronomical numbers, I mean, Narcissa at the peak, I think, in my research I could find, was 18,000 at the end of some Zelda runs. And this is at a time when Twitch is not as big as it is now. So it's hard to say, now in the days of Ninja when there's 100,000 viewers. I argue in 2013, 18,000 is basically 100,000 viewers. Okay, maybe 50,000 viewers. It is an astronomical number for speedrunning, and Narcissa was like that. Also in the GDQ scene, again, another person that, just like Siglemic, was just an aura, a entity that came there and was kind of. Now there's no. Oh, I can't. I mean, there still is, of course, people from every community. That's, for example, who's someone I haven't mentioned yet. Darbian, for example, could have been an honorable mention for sure. Darbian. Obviously, Darbian fans look forward to Darbian's runs, right? GDQ. I can't wait for Darbian's run at 9 p.m. tomorrow. Narcissa's run was, everyone in the community was like, I cannot wait to see this, right? I cannot wait to see. And the spike in viewership at GDQ is when Narcissa's run was on. It's just insane and cannot be undersold, right? Just the pure hype that was built, and the effects of that hype are still being felt today, because how many more runners there are than now. It just, I can't say enough about what the impact Narcissa had on speedrunning, for sure. All right, guys, that's my top 5 list. If you disagree with me, I do want to hear from you. I would love to have a debate about this. It got to be a good fucking episode, is a debate episode. Or if you want to make, what's your top 5? Leave it in the Discord. Okay, go to the Discord, leave it in. Let me hear your top 5. My top 5 is criticizing my list is very 2003, 2007-ish base, and I think, but that's not on accident. That's because I think that's when speedrunning really made its big jump, and that's when I think 2007, 2010. Excuse me, I said way too late, way too early. That's when speedrunning really made its big growth, right? And then after that, 2011, 2012, 13, 14, GDQs go huge, and these people, almost all these people, were part of that, and I think that's why I have them here, because they were so important in that, right? 2010 was the start of GDQs. It's 8 years ago now, and that was kind of when speedrunning really, boom, took off, right? And these people were a big part of it. Mike Uyama is probably the biggest part of making GDQs a thing, for sure, but these runners are a big reason why they were so successful. They made the GDQs be as successful as they were because of the personalities they were, right? So, again, I could have said a lot more people. Grand Pooh Bear, that's a great person to have say right now. I'd have been a great honorable mention for sure. I mean, he might have been in someone's top 10, but if you have a different top 10, please share with me. I definitely want to hear it. I know I probably made some mistakes with my timing of shit and stuff like that. Please feel free to let me know. But that's my top 5 list, guys. We'll definitely have an interview for you next time. Thanks for listening, as always. Come into Discord. Let's talk about this, because I think this is it's a fun topic to think about for sure. Who the top 5 most interesting people, and there's so many awesome people. But there you go, guys. I'll see you in the next episode. Here's an awesome song I choose from some game I'll choose. I'll find it later. But wherever the hell you are, have a good day, and I'll see you in the next episode. Later.